the official Nintendo Museum appears to be emulating SNES games on a Windows PC, which is slightly embarrassing. And that's the nice way of putting it. I would have said that they are massive hypocrites considering how litigious Nintendo is known to be when it comes to protecting their IPs. You thought I was joking earlier, but if this company even gets a whiff that you're emulating their product, they will deploy the Shinobi Kill Squad. Hello fellow travelers and welcome to the Hard Light Network. Alrighty guys, so today we are covering some Nintendo shenanigans, first from the company themselves, but then from some of their customers. We've got two different videos to cover today guys, but before we get into them, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below so you can support the channel. Also, if you want to go that extra mile, there is a super thanks option down below. But without wasting any more time, let's get into the video. So whether it's cyclists rolling 20 deep on a busy road while you're trying to get to work, or going to the bathroom and finding that the last person didn't replace the empty toilet paper roll, we've all had our fair share of annoying encounters. But few things are more annoying than a straight up hypocrite. And today, Nintendo is that hypocrite, as we can read in this PC Gamer article, quote, "The official Nintendo Museum appears to be emulating SNES games on a Windows PC, which is slightly embarrassing." The article continues, "Nintendo has had a difficult relationship with emulation, and that's putting it mildly. The company has often legally pursued emulator developers and ROM websites, and its website makes it clear that it's not okay to copy or download older titles, nor download a ROM for emulation even if you own the original game, lest you fall afoul of various copyright laws." Twitter user @ChrisMac32, however, seems to have made a rather embarrassing discovery. They've posted a video of an SNES controller being disconnected via USB no less from a booth at the Nintendo Official Museum in Japan, and it turns out that it makes a rather familiar noise, the of a Windows USB device disconnect. And since Chris hasn't been assassinated by Nintendo's loyal Shinobi, at least yet, we actually still have the video of the evidence. I don't know about you guys, but as a lifelong user of Windows products, that nostalgic sound is pretty distinct. Did Nintendo think that nobody would notice, or do you think they just thought that nobody would bother trying to disconnect the controller? I mean, connectivity issues are relatively common, and even I have to disconnect and reconnect my devices from time to time. I don't know, it seems like a pretty silly lapse in judgment to me. Anyway, moving on. While we only get a brief look at the screen, it appears whatever device the controller is connected to seems to be playing Super Mario World. That's an SNES title, of course, which suggests that it's being emulated on a Windows PC underneath. Well, it is the superior machine, of course. Still, for a company that has keenly banged the drum against emulators and sites distributing ROMs, even if they're used by those that own the original copy of the games they wish to emulate, it does seem a bit rich. Nintendo has even argued that emulation harms innovation, which also seems like a bit of a stretch. And that's the nice way of putting it. I would have said that they are massive hypocrites considering how litigious Nintendo is known to be when it comes to protecting their IPs. You see, Japan doesn't have a concept of fair use, at least not in the sense that we here in the West have. And when it comes to lawsuits, they don't pull any punches, as we saw in March of 2024 with the $2.4 million settlement from the Yuzu Switch emulator lawsuit. You thought I was joking earlier, but if this company even gets a whiff that you're emulating their product, they will deploy the Shinobi Kill Squad. On the other hand, what did we really expect? A proper SNES running in every booth at the Nintendo Museum? Sounds like a nightmare to maintain to me. You could always run them officially on the Nintendo Switch, of course, to keep things above board. But that's a Windows sound effect for sure, so unless the video's been edited, it looks like the Nintendo Museum may have taken the easy route and booted them up on a good old-fashioned PC via an emulator. And that's sort of the whole point, isn't it? While ROMs and emulators exist in the minds of many in a sort of moral gray area, I don't think I'd be blowing too many minds if I said said that people are drawn to them for their sheer convenience, among other things. It's just, not actually legal. And that really is the rub here. I doubt anybody is gonna spurg out at the Nintendo Museum because they're playing on an emulator or a Switch rather than an original console. But what is frustrating and worthy of making a big deal out of is Nintendo's hypocritical use of emulators, as well as the sneaky way that they try to cover it up. And look, I get it. Nintendo doesn't want to be seen publicly affirming the use of emulators, as they do exist in a sort of legal gray area. However, as the article already mentioned, they could be utilizing their own hardware to run these games. Not only would that help for the preservation of these titles for future generations, but it would also open up another revenue stream for this company. I don't know, guys. Sometimes I just don't understand why these companies seemingly hate their customer base so much. If people are willing to pay $10, even $20 to play the original Super Mario Bros., why isn't Nintendo capitalizing on that? They seem to be of the opinion that emulating old software weakens innovation, but I just don't get that either. People are already going out of their way to get cracked versions of these games and play them through emulators, but for whatever reason, Nintendo doesn't want to cut the middleman out and make money themselves. There are so many titles for these systems that I would love for my kids to be able to play as they get older. And not only that, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of gaming YouTubers that are just foaming at the mouth to get their hands on these titles so they can make even more content. Which is another issue, because Nintendo specifically goes out of their way to aggressively copyright strike YouTube videos of gameplay. I mean, there has got to be a substantial reason for why this company is going out of their way to limit free advertising options for their products. If you know what it could possibly be, please let me know in the comments section, because I am at a total loss for what it could even be. As several Twitter users pointed out, the fact that the controller was easily disconnected also means that, thanks to that open USB cable, this particular machine could now be connected to by any number of devices, and thereby very easily compromised. So, a fail on the emulation front and a cybersecurity whoopsie all in one go. Good stuff. Anyways, one simple little sound effect, one slightly embarrassing reveal. I could hark on about this being a massive tacit win for the PC and emulation as a whole, but it seems in poor taste at this point. I think someone at the Nintendo Museum may be about to receive a nasty letter, and that's enough to ruin anyone's day. And look, our author friend might have that issue, but I certainly don't have that hang up. This is a massive W for PC gamers, and screw Nintendo. I get it. Yada yada licensing, yada yada ownership, blah 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 blah. I don't care. This is a straight up hypocritical rules for thee and not for me situation, and I'm glad that we got the W here. And you know what? Nobody at the museum should be getting a strongly worded letter. The CEOs at Nintendo should see this as an eye-opening experience and either fix the problem or own up to it. Either stop going after emulators until you have them by the throat, or emulate the products on your own hardware. It's not that often that you come across such an artificial issue with not one, but two easy solutions. But anyway, that's part one of the rant. On to the next article. People can't behave themselves at the Nintendo Museum. Kyoto's Nintendo Museum hasn't been open for an entire month yet, and people already can't follow simple instructions. The Nintendo Museum in Uji, Kyoto officially opened on October 2nd, 2024. It's a reservation-only facility honoring the company's rich history. So, with such an exclusive, mysterious entry method, you think people would control themselves. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case thus far. Per Nintendo Every, somebody went into the museum and took pictures they explicitly weren't supposed to. Photos circulated across various social media websites showcasing Nintendo's hardware prototypes, which were located in a photography-prohibited area of the museum. The original poster has since taken the post down, however, they already received nearly 10,000 likes with over 1,000 reposts. Y'all know how the internet works, the cat's formally out of the bag. Additionally, there have been reports of people unplugging cords connected to the controllers of Super Nintendo games, to check and see if the games were running on an emulator. Perfectly normal behavior to exhibit at a museum. This is why we can't have nice things, guys. It's one thing to get a little overexcited when you're there and maybe take a picture or two you weren't supposed to because you missed a sign. But this is Nintendo. You know they have that warning plastered all over the areas where they don't want you to take pictures. Further, what's wrong with y'all? I already hesitate to use the term gamers to describe people who love video games because of the gamer caricature, but when you do things like this, it's legit gamer behavior. The rule is this: respect the space as you respect your house. Then again, some people live with empty cans and food containers scattered around their bedrooms. I hope Nintendo starts hiring security to patrol the areas of the museum where photos aren't allowed, dressed as Nintendo mascots. You want a viral video? How about someone dressed as Birdo throwing you out of the museum, banning you from buying Nintendo products? If they took down Gary Bowser, a known renegade element and an enemy to the company, what do you think they'll do to you if you keep playing with them? Nerd alert! This guy right here? You're a freaking loser. Of course, the author for the Vice article is going to be an absolute dork shilling for Nintendo. Honestly, I should have read that article in the Weenie Hut Jr. voice.
May I take your hat, sir? May I take your hat, sir? May I...
All right, I've heard enough. You've got the job.
It's almost like he read the other article and thought to himself, how do I sweep up for this massive corporation? I'm sure Nintendo probably did have a bunch of signs saying no photography, but it's not unusual to take pictures in a museum. And also, it's a dumb decision on Nintendo's part to even have those prototypes there in the first place, even if it was just a limited showing. Maybe I've got a little bit of a distorted memory on it, but I thought that journalists were the ones who leaked this kind of stuff back in the day. Has Nintendo sued these people into submission, or is this guy just a bubble-blowing baby who's jealous that he wasn't the one to break the story? I thought as a gaming journalist, he might be excited about the leaks, but considering that he works for Vice, the finger-wagging and condescending tone makes a whole lot of sense. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much to everybody who's stuck around up to this point, and if you haven't done it already, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything we've got coming up in the future. Also, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you feel like Nintendo have been exposed for the massive hypocrites they are? Do you feel like Dwayne Jenkins is a condescending goofy goober? Do you feel like aliens seeded the planet with life? Whatever you're selling, I'm buying, and if you have any ideas on the next video I should cover, you know where to put it. And as always, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, leave a like, and until next time, love you guys, safe travels. Ding dong dong.